So first, let's talk a little bit about the WAN landscape of today. So as we're talking to our customers, typically we find their WAN architecture falls into one of three buckets, and each encounters some limitations in using modern or traditional network infrastructure. So whether it's a traditional MPLS network where all of my endpoints are connected via a private platform, or it's customers that are actually transitioning from that traditional MPLS network to SD-WAN, but are looking for ways that they can build out that infrastructure that's going to provide that similar performance. Or existing SD-WAN customers. So customers who have existing SD-WAN deployments, maybe they've deployed over the last few years, they're utilizing the benefits of the internet transport, but they have also kept a portion of all of their MPLS network based on the predictable performance and security. So we'll address different ways that you can modernize your network in each one of these stages as we go through the presentation. Now, for those of you who have worked with Megaport in the past, you know that we've been modernizing network infrastructure for quite some time, but now we're able to bring that into modernizing your SD-WAN infrastructure. So now you can integrate Megaport platform into your SD-WAN overlay. So when you talk about some of the keys, it's deploying faster. Like we all know we want to move faster. I want to run faster. Hopefully, maybe one day there'll be a webinar on how I can modernize my legs, but that one's probably not coming. But the good news is we do have ways now that we can deploy faster. So we know as users become more distributed and applications become more distributed, we need to be able to have a connectivity model that's able to integrate those all together in an on-demand, a point-and-click type of provisioning platform. So long gone are the days where I wait 30 to 60 days to turn up a connection to a branch office. I need to have a strategy to add end locations almost at a moment's notice. I want to reduce that WAN OpEx. So from a traditional standpoint of setting up private connections into branch offices where maybe I get locked into those long-term contracts, we all know that sites change. We want to add and delete locations as we need to. We also want to add cloud connectivity or other service providers into the network. We want to have the flexibility to turn those up and turn them down and move our network spend where it's appropriate, when it's appropriate. So we want to move to a consumption-based type of model. And then we want to avoid duplication in the network. So when I'm working with traditional carriers and I'm patching together my network, I may be working with multiple carriers. I may be managing cross connects at endpoints. We want to bring that all in under one integrated platform. And that really brings you into the network as a service world. We also want simplicity. Everyone wants things to be easier as they're building out their network platform. It even relates to some of the key terms that we hear in the market today when we talk about SASE or Secure Access Service Edge, where you're bringing that network as a service and security as a service into one platform. We want to do the same thing with your SD-WAN infrastructure. So you want to consolidate those services and be able to reach all of the endpoints on your network via one platform. So whether that's your branch offices that you want to add, or the VPCs within the cloud, or maybe your data centers or shared services, you want to have all those endpoints connected via one service provider. And you also want to have the ability to build out multi-cloud connectivity. So here at Megaport, we've been working in a multi-cloud world for the past 7 years and setting up network as a service solutions to support those hybrid and multi-cloud solutions. But you want to have a strategy to where if you're working with AWS today, we know the majority of our customers are typically going to be working with a second provider at some time down the line. So you want to future-proof the edge of your network and connecting to the cloud. The last piece of it is security and performance. So many of the folks that we're working with and we're talking around MVE and modernizing their network infrastructure, one of the main reasons that they're hesitant to move away from that traditional infrastructure is that security and performance. They like the predictability of the path from point A to point B. So you want to work with a service provider that has a global platform where you can actually bring the edge of that network closer to the branch, but also then be able to turn up private connectivity into accessing your cloud resources, or also private connectivity across your backbone in an on-demand type of fashion. And you want to be able to integrate that network infrastructure into your SD-WAN overlay. So having a provider that's also not just providing that infrastructure, but even able to integrate that as a service with your SD-WAN provider. So you can use the best of the security and network as a service platforms that they're building on within their SD-WAN solutions. So this is really where the Megaport Virtual Edge can help drive that modern network infrastructure, as it can support that network and security as a service. And I'm just going to go real quickly through a couple of slides here around MVE, and then we'll jump into our vendors. But our customers and partners now have the ability to host virtual network functions on Megaport compute. So just as an example, a customer can procure an SD-WAN license from one of our integrated vendors. They're able to now host that instance on a Megaport MVE or a Megaport Virtual Edge. So essentially creating a virtual data center, and they can do that globally across our platform or virtual edge. Now allowing for customers to build first mile connectivity instead of VPN connections through their SD-WAN overlay connected into the MVE. Once they access that virtual edge or that virtual router appliance, now they're able to build out cloud private connectivity across the Megaport network, just as they always have. So if you're familiar with Megaport and our network as a service platform, now customers can configure private connectivity on demand directly off the MVE to our integrated hyperscalers, so the AWS, Azures, and Googles of the world. Turn up on-demand private connectivity to the cloud. You can also turn up private connectivity to one of our 700 enabled data centers. And one of the key components of this is you can also turn up these virtual edges in multiple locations, and you can actually build a private backbone across the Megaport network and integrate these virtual hubs or these virtual data centers where you need them. So here's a good look at the locations where we've deployed MVE. So we're going to continue to invest and grow the platform. So if you do see sites on here that you're interested in and we haven't deployed yet, please reach out to us. We're certainly looking for feedback on where we can add additional locations across the platform. One of the key parts about MVE, if you look at Ashburn as an example, in each one of these cities or metros or markets where we've actually built out the service, we have deployed these MVE resources in 2 data centers. So since this is a compute resource, I kind of want to look at this from a cloud provider perspective. So if we say this is Ashburn and this is the Ashburn region, a customer could deploy an MVE or a virtual edge within availability zone 1. They could also deploy an MVE or a virtual edge within availability zone 2. Both of those availability zones are going to have network connectivity between them and integrated into the Megaport platform. The other piece of this is we also have 2 IP transit providers in each metro. So if we do lose one provider, you're still going to have connectivity to the MVE through a secondary provider. So this really does allow you to build diverse, high availability type of solutions across that Megaport infrastructure within the metro and across the globe between any of the cities on the platform. One of the things when we look at some of the keys to modernizing your network infrastructure and why this is important is now as your network grows and expand, you don't always necessarily have to deploy a physical infrastructure within a data center to expand into a new region. You can instantly build out an MVE in any one of these markets and integrate that into your SD-WAN deployment. So just quickly, what is Megaport providing with the MVE? So when a customer buys that Megaport service, they're going to procure either a small, medium, or large MVE. So they're going to be buying the compute, and we're also going to be providing IP transit. So, with a small, it's 2 virtual CPUs. And with that package, you'll also get 500 megs for your IP transit. So it is bought in that package. We're also providing the DDoS protection on the internet link and for the public IP addressing for the endpoint on the MVE. On the right-hand side, this just gives you a general idea of the number of endpoints that could be connected to the MVE based on the CPU and the bandwidth that's supported. This is just general guidance from the vendors that we're working with below. Obviously, depending on your requirement or a customer's requirements, this is going to vary.